Welcome back to another episode of Unveiled. I'm your host, Ahmad McKinney, and today's podcast is all about the wedding industry and the people who make your wedding day special. Today's guest is someone who is very near and dear to my heart and is a very special person. My fiance, Grace Burton, with the Buggy. Hey, Grace.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Hey, thanks for coming on this platform with me today. Now I'm nervous, but let's get into it.
You're making me nervous.
Don't. Okay, here we go. All right, Grace, do us a favor and let the people know in this camera what you do and what you offer.
Okay, yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Grace. I am the co-owner of the Buggy Mobile Bar, located here in Kokomo, Indiana. We provide bartending services for a variety of events throughout the state. Our main clientele and a kind of event niche that we're kind of aiming to provide services for is weddings, birthday parties, celebrations at people's homes. We've also expanded to providing bar services for business events throughout the state. And yeah, so thanks for having me.
Of course. So for the viewers who don't know who you are, why did we decide to get into this space of bartending?
Yeah, I feel like it kind of started when we were in college and we needed money because we were trying to survive.
Yeah.
We both went to IU in Bloomington and just loved it down there.
Go Hoosiers, baby.
Yes. And while we were there, I needed a job. And so I started bartending. Well, actually, I started serving at Brothers Bar and Grill in Bloomington, and I loved it. I loved the fast-paced environment and just, I don't know, making money. It was fun. And so I quickly took a bartending role there. I was there about, I forget quite often, but 3 or 4 years, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And once I got my college degree and started doing my full-time job, I still missed bartending. And so once we moved back to Kokomo, just taking it our own route and kind of doing what we wanted in our own form, and that's kind of where the Buggy came from.
So what do you think kind of sparked the idea, like, you know what, we're going to go get a horse trailer, we're going to convert it and try to make it work? What do you think that was?
I think it was a combination of COVID, being locked away, and we were always on our phone, and we were definitely inspired by other people that were doing similar stuff out on the West Coast around 2020 and 2021. And I would say that's kind of where it came from.
Of course. So for a lot of people that don't know too, I'm also the co-owner of Buggy as well. Same experience, worked at the same bar, previously left, worked for another different bars, bartend, all that type of thing. But I would say another reason why we got into it as well is because I was already in the wedding industry. Because I was doing wedding video and all that good stuff. So it kind of worked hand in hand. We knew a couple people that owned some wedding venues, and it just made the perfect sense to combine my video work with the bartending experience that we both have. And it's also something that I would say we're very passionate about, and not just something that we're just doing for money.
Right.
So what do you think, as far as right now, what are some things that you do, because you mainly run the business, what do you do to try to stay unique in this field?
Gosh. I feel like social media is really so important right now. Just getting your face out there, being unique, being yourself, adding a personality to your business, because like you said, we are passionate about it. This isn't just for money or we wouldn't be in it.
Right.
So just trying to be uniquely myself and really developing connections with our clients. And really, I feel like when I'm meeting with clients and doing consultations, it's really not like a one form answers everything, or this one price guide that I send out. I want to know, what they want. What do they want in their bar experience on their wedding day or for their celebration? And I try to cater to that. And I feel like that does kind of make us a little bit different, because I can totally understand where other vendors maybe just send out a pricing guide or something, and it does make sense for some services. But it would probably save us a lot of time. But I do feel like just developing that connection, I want people to feel like I'm not just their vendor, but I'm also here to bring their vision to life.
Right, right. I agree with that. Okay.
Good question.
What do you think right now, trending wise, is something that's in the mobile bartending area?
Yes. Hmm. Well, I think mobile bars are kind of a trend right
Right.
now. I think people are intrigued by this conversion and what it is, and not a lot of people, if you haven't seen one before and you see one, you're like, oh my gosh, what a good idea.
Yeah.
So I think in general the mobile bar is kind of trending.
Yeah.
And I think that's too, people are really shifting their event scene and where they're having events to being in more intimate environments,
Yeah.
where maybe it is at their home or not in a rented space, and
Yeah.
both are just as beautiful. But I think that also helped create the mobile bar industry, is that,
Right.
if you're at your house,
You can go wherever with it.
yeah, but also where, if you're having an event at your house, where is your bar going to be? Because there's
Exactly.
not a built-in bar.
Exactly.
And so I think the mobile bar in general is trending, but also something I see people interested in recently is definitely the champagne towers,
Oh, yeah.
the espresso towers. And so we've started to dive into that and did our first one a couple months ago,
Yep.
and it was great and, challenging, but we learned and we made sure it's, perfected and good to go. But I think, yeah, the mobile bar is trending.
Yeah.
The espresso champagne tower scene is on trend.
Yeah.
But
Any specific drinks you would say?
I think people just want a pretty cocktail.
I feel that, yeah.
I don't think people, of course, do care about the taste, and you want something that tastes good and
Yeah.
that your guests at your event like. But I think people just want a drink that they can take a picture of, or say,
Yeah.
I want that because that looks so cute, or
Right.
I love how that's, curated.
Of course. So you said that we offer a various amount of different options, such as weddings, birthday parties, events. What is your favorite event that you like to do?
I'm a big sucker for weddings.
Oh yeah, me too.
What I was gonna say, what's your favorite?
It's in between small events and also weddings.
Yeah.
I would say, depending on what the event is, you can get
Yeah.
very creative.
Yes.
So I would say the creativity side is more so tailored, in my opinion, to like
Mhm.
special events. So like birthday parties, they usually have like cool little add-ons they want to
Yeah.
do for like the trailer or bartending stuff, or even coming up with, specific names for drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like them both. But what do you think?
Yeah, weddings for sure. I just love they I do feel they're the most stressful events from our standpoint, because you're involved in arguably someone's most important day in their life.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure everything's perfect. It's not a try. It's like
Right.
everything actually has to be perfect. And so I think while it's stressful, it's like the reward that comes once you're there and everything's flowing and you just see everyone having a good time. I just love that. And I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
there's so many like customizable options and things, special extra touches that
Yeah.
people can do. I love the we've had a couple people do the stir sticks with their dogs on them.
Yeah.
Just little extra things that people think about and that we also, suggest and they're willing to do. It's just fun to add a little extra something to the
Right.
mobile bar.
So you also mentioned that there's a couple different weddings. I know that's your favorite one to do.
Yeah.
But you said another trend I thought you was going to throw in there too is a lot of people are starting to move into the backyard wedding scene.
Yes.
So I think that's also a trend right now. What is
Yeah.
your take on the backyard weddings?
Yeah, so I think that I wonder sometimes if that's always kind of been trending,
Yeah.
but because of the natural flow of our business and like where we're needed most at, if we're realizing like, oh my gosh, like there's a market for that. A lot of people are interested in, utilizing their family homes and spaces to create the venue of their dreams,
Yeah.
or the space of their dreams. And I love it. I think there's a certain space for everyone. Like, I think venues are beautiful too.
Yeah.
Like the work that goes into them, and, the people that own them are so, those are the true professionals in our industry, people running venues, because,
Right.
they're worried about everything. And I
Right.
think when you do go the backyard wedding route,
Less stressful for one.
yeah, and you do lose out on, you know, that expertise that your venue owner has, and I think that's kind of where that wedding coordinator
Comes into
comes
play.
into play, and
Yeah.
I think that's really crucial when we, you know, when people are deciding to go the backyard wedding. But I love it. I mean, I think it's so cool to be able to customize a space, and especially when it's family homes and
Yeah.
maybe there's a story that you know, plays into it. And I know we have a wedding a backyard wedding coming up in September, and it's
Yeah.
her family home, and she and her fiance, you know, her family all lives in this, you know, all this acreage, and
Right.
she's getting married there. And I think that that's what is so important and special to her, is
Yeah.
not just that, you know, it's at her house, but also like the story that comes with it.
Right. Right. So take me along the process, right? So I think a lot of people get a what's the right term? A lot of people, I would say, underestimate what it takes
Mm.
to actually run, you know, a business like this. You know,
Yeah.
you're not a wedding venue. You don't have a bar that's already there, that's already has the liquor or the proper, you know, tools you need. But from someone who's booking from you, what does that process look like to them?
From the client,
From the
like,
client standpoint, yeah.
so you're saying like timeline wise?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So if a client reaches out, I try to respond within a couple of days, just because you don't want to lose that connection. And, you know, you're probably not the only vendor they're reaching out to.
Yeah.
So I just try to start with pretty good communication right away, set up a phone conversation to further talk about pricing and packaging, because like I said earlier, it's not like a one-stop shop. I
Right.
can't just say, oh, here's the price for this. And so phone conversation, set that up, and then typically I send a follow-up email with all the details we talked about.
Yeah.
And then if I don't hear anything within a few weeks, I'll follow up again. But I mean, I don't know if you're kind of asking like how far out in advance, but I feel like, you know, we're still getting inquiries for 2024, and that's great, because
Yeah.
we aren't fully booked and we do still have availability. And you know, some people plans, everyone's timeline looks different,
Right.
but you know, we're also getting inquiries for 2025 and
Right.
like setting up for the fall of next year.
Right.
And so I feel like the timeline just kind of differs, but maybe I'm getting off track here.
I guess my question should have been more worded towards, what is it like for you or
Yeah.
us?
Yeah, okay. So it's time consuming.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you get that inquiry, that's great, but then you set up a phone conversation. You
Yep.
have a 30-minute phone conversation, then you got to send you know, however long a follow-up email takes. And that's
Mhm.
fine. You know, that's stuff you can do at home, sitting on your couch,
Yeah.
relaxing. But then it's like, okay, you're a few months out. Now we've got to start potentially meeting with clients in person.
Yep.
You know, I do try to do in-person meet and greets when it's local, and you know, sometimes the couple doesn't feel that's necessary.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, there's another hour on a random day, but then the preparation that comes into preparing the menu and getting the ingredients sorted out, how much of what they need,
Yeah.
sending them their ordering guide, because we do provide,
Yeah.
you know, we are essentially mostly always dry hire,
Yeah.
and we're not leaving our clients guessing how much they need. So developing this guide where we have to, you know, they're relying on us to tell them how much they need
Right.
liquor wise. So I would say all in all, the timing that goes into prepping for an event before the event even occurs, specifically a wedding, I would say it can be anywhere between,
It's a long time.
I don't know, it differs, 8 hours to
yeah.
15 hours. I mean, you're shopping,
Yeah.
you know, we do fresh mixers
Yeah.
and juicing and
That's why I
dehydrating
come into
fruit.
place.
Yes. And shopping, picking up these things, cleaning the trailer. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a small space. It gets dirty quick.
Yeah.
We've branched out. We're, you know, working
that's
with
why-
other people. I do
And that's
think it's
I kind of
time-consuming.
wanted you to explain that a little bit, because
Yeah.
I think some people just think we just pull up, serve, and then we just go on about it. But
No.
it's a whole process. You know, you got to book the call. You have
Permits.
to permits. If we're
Yeah.
doing permits that day, you have to get all the material you need. You got to go to the event, set up, and then we got to talk about, you know, if we are doing a wedding, how, you know, cocktail hour, you got to be cranking out
Oh my,
fast.
yeah.
And it's not just, you got to have some skin in the game if you're going to
Yeah.
do any type of wedding and, you know, bartend at that level. First of all, you're not just pouring liquor, you're making craft drinks, we're batching stuff.
Yeah.
And then to end it all, you still got to go home and spend another
Yeah.
hour breakdown after the wedding, then go home and clean the trailer after me. So
Yeah.
it does get
All
crazy.
the dishes.
So what would you say after I said all that? What would you say are some challenges to mobile bartending?
Yeah. So I would definitely say one of the first challenges is just, I think a lot of people in this industry in doing mobile bartending,
Yeah.
If it's your full-time job, you're so blessed,
Yeah.
that you can, but for us, it's not.
Right.
And so I think one of the most challenging things is just time commitment wise.
Yeah.
And so you really have to consider, like, how passionate am I? Because again, you're working people's most special days,
Yeah.
events, celebrations.
You got to set some time aside.
Yeah,
for
you
that.
have to have your heart in it. So I think time commitment. I think another challenge for us at times can be just ensuring everything, permitting, insurance, all that is taken care of
Yeah.
and approved before the event. And we don't have concerns usually with that, but just making sure all the legalities are met, and it changes.
Yeah.
We're traveling, so different cities and counties have different ways of things. And so navigating all of that,
Yeah.
having to drive to these cities before the event
Yeah.
to just drop off a permit and
Yeah.
drive back home. I mean, when we're doing that for Indy, that's 2 hours right there.
Exactly.
And so I think that's another challenge. And then, I feel like I'm probably am forgetting something. I mean,
Probably.
do you think can you think of any other
No,
challenges?
I think you kind of hit it all on the nail. I think for me, because you do handle, majority of that work,
Yeah.
I think for me it's the heavy lifting of all the stuff that we
Yeah.
got to take to and from. And usually sometimes we leave with a lot less of the stuff we
Yes,
brought.
which is always nice.
But it is, we have to set some time apart and make sure the trailer's getting clean, the
Yeah.
trailer's getting detailed, tire shine, all that good stuff. Make sure kegs is good to go, the maintenance of things. So just though it's not ridiculously like hard or tough, but I just say the small little tedious things that you have to constantly do is for
Time
me
consuming.
is that a little bit time consuming when we're both busy and that's not a full-time job. So for the people who don't know you, I know a lot of people who will watch this episode will probably know you, but for
Yeah.
the future clients, who is Grace outside of bartending and Boozy Buggy? Because I know that, but
Yeah, I still feel like at times I'm navigating that, like having a personal life and setting time aside to do hobbies. But I really enjoy spending time with you and my dog, being outside. Like, can we redo that? Because I feel like I'm getting emotional about Quincy. Sorry.
what's going on with Quincy?
Well, our dog isn't doing too well, so I feel like
Just keep rolling, you good.
Okay. I feel like I've been taking care of our dog
Yeah.
and making sure that he's healthy and just trying to figure all that out. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's really a lot of my identity right now. But outside of that, love to travel. Like, put me on a beach somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to be somewhere by the water.
Yeah.
I also enjoy reading when I'm in that realm. Like, I'm kind of been in and out of it lately, but I do enjoy a good book, being outside. Love coffee.
Yeah.
I like to try new places, go new places, spend time with my family. I feel like I'm
Very chill.
I was gonna say I'm pretty easily pleased. I like to be outside around my family, like my dog, like you, kinda.
Damn. Just a little bit.
Reading.
That's
Give me all the low key stuff.
Okay,
Honestly,
so-
I love a day where I'm just like watching Netflix all day.
Facts. I can second that. So what is your current role? Where you work at right now? You said this is not your full-time
Yes.
job.
So currently I am a recreational therapist. So I do recreational therapy in the county or Howard County. Essentially what that looks like is I work under the Medicaid waiver and provide activity-based therapy for children, teenagers, and adults with both developmental and physical disabilities.
Yeah.
My job is awesome. It's super fun. A day in my life kind of looks like, I see around 4 to 5 clients a day and do a lot of exercising, fitness related things, cooking skills, just helping others participate in their life how they want to and making them feel like like they're participating in the community and society how they want. And helping them just to have an enjoyable life.
Yeah.
So it's really fun. Time consuming as
Yeah.
any work, but I'm blessed because I do feel like my schedule is fairly flexible because I'm contracted. And
Yeah.
so we've kind of figured out a system to where I work a few days a week and then still have a little bit of time for myself and then also working for the Booze Buggy.
Nice. So I guess I never asked you because I feel like we just go with the flow. We just do this, we go
Yeah.
home, take care of business. But how do you manage work and Booze Buggy?
I would say I did have to kind of step back, you know, a
Yeah.
little bit from recreational therapy and kind of cut back a day worth of clients
Yeah.
so that I do kind of devote a day to the Booze Buggy and
Yeah.
just getting caught up on, I feel like, computer work and things that I can do at home. But I mean, it looks like late nights and early mornings kind of when
Yeah.
I can be
Wake
a morning
up.
person, but I'm a big night owl, so I feel like sometimes my Booze Buggy stuff kind of goes into the night. But I mean, it's working. I don't, you know, work on the weekends, and that's when a majority of events are.
Right.
And so just kind of navigating that
Yeah.
and still trying to find personal time. But I think the glory of our business is I don't necessarily want to say it's seasonal because we're trying to shift to
Right.
where it's not.
Yeah.
You know, we have these satellite bars for indoor rentals
Exactly. Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But I mean, from what would you say, May to October, it's full throttle. I mean, I would say we have at least one event a weekend for the
Yeah.
most part. And
Right.
I'm blessed to say that. And I find it crazy that we're still like, okay, let's fill up that Sunday when
Yeah.
we have a Friday and Saturday event. But
Yeah.
just, yeah, I don't know how I'm navigating it, but I am. I'm here.
I feel you. I feel you. So I got another question for you.
Yeah.
This is for the clients, but
Mhm.
what is one thing that you would like someone to know about you that they don't know about you?
Ooh, that's a hard question.
I don't know. You tell me.
Uh, okay. This is kind of a funny one.
Okay.
But and silly. But I think one thing I want people to know about me that maybe they don't know about me
Yeah.
is that I can hitch the trailer on my own.
Okay.
Because when I do an event by myself, like,
Oh, man.
oh my gosh. And
I kind
I'm
of get mad because it always comes back not how.
I know, but I don't know. I did tell you this story, and I'm
Yeah.
super thankful for the gentlemen, the large group of gentlemen that felt they needed to help me, and I just let them because it's not out of you're stupid. It's to me, it's more like she needs help, but I had it.
But then they do it and they don't even know how to do
I know.
it.
But anyway, long story short, I do events sometimes by myself, you know,
Oh, yeah.
as do you. And I've got to hitch the trailer and back it up by myself. But when some gentlemen's manly men see me hitching it, they'll run over and like, I can get that for you. I can back it in. I'm like, I know how to do it. The issue is I just might not get it the first time. So
Yeah.
then it's like almost a self-conscious thing for me
Yeah.
because they're looking at me like, can she do it? And I'm
Right.
like, I know I can do it. Can you just walk away, please?
Right.
So that's one thing I want people to know about me is that
Hitching the trailer.
I
You
can
know how to
hitch a
do it.
horse trailer by myself.
Yep.
I can back it in and I can transport that baby.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right on. Right on. So, okay. Now, question for you. What would you say? Because we've been doing this for a long time now. I would say not a long time. Bartending, we've been doing for a long time, right?
Or even in the food industry.
Food
like I didn't
industry,
even
yeah,
start
yeah.
at Brothers. I
Okay,
started
well,
before that.
What was your most memorable memory thus far with the Booze Buggy?
Ooh. Maybe, I mean, having our first wedding last year, that
Yeah.
was pretty memorable at Vintage Oak Barn.
Which we
Yeah.
gotta shout that out because
Yeah,
that was, I feel like that was a peak for us.
it was.
I wouldn't say a peak because that was also our first wedding. We just got into it, but also connections go a long way when it
Yeah.
comes to, you know, having good relationship with people and everything,
Yeah.
treating people good, whatever. But Haley at Vintage Oak,
Yeah.
I've done several weddings for her out there. Good relationship between us. She saw that we was doing the horse trailer, reached out to us, and that's kind of how we kickstarted everything.
It was.
Because it was a decent sized wedding.
Yes.
We made content for it, of course,
Yeah.
because I do video work. and it also blew up on TikTok.
Yeah.
So I think that was our proudest moment.
Yeah, I think
mine,
so
at least.
too. And I just felt so, you know, I'm in some groups with other mobile bar owners,
Yeah.
and it's hard to get wedding clientele. I mean,
Right.
not only because you're just so different, but also because, you can't always do the wedding dependent
Exactly.
on,
The wedding venue, everything.
if it's public, if it's private, etc. So I think just to be trusted by a venue owner, she was really just so like, I know you guys can do this.
Yeah.
Here's the client, you're booked.
Yeah.
Like, this is the
Make it work.
date, be there. And we did. It turned out beautiful. But yeah, I think that was probably not only the proudest moment, but also kind of solidified, like, I think we're in the right space.
Right.
Like, if someone can trust us to do their wedding, then I think someone can trust us to do another
Anything.
event.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think you're so right. Connections, although it's not a memory or my proudest moment, but just the people. I mean, you've really got to have a big heart and like
Yeah.
really be passionate, I think, to work in the wedding industry specifically. Although
Sometimes you got to have thick skin too.
yeah, of course. And although that's not the only industry we're in, but
Yeah.
the wedding industry, I mean, people are devoting their whole Saturdays to making someone's day perfect.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like meeting people that care the way we care
Yeah.
and has just been fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we've met friends and
Yeah.
we're making friends, and really we haven't been in it
Right.
all that long. This is our,
Right.
you know,
But that's why I started a podcast, because it takes literally everybody to make that wedding day special.
Yeah.
From the morning, you got makeup, you got photographers, you have the people doing your hair, everything has to fall into place. And anything like the last wedding we did, some things happened with another vendor and they weren't happy, but we made up for that. So everyone has to be on their square. But now let's take it to some hot takes.
Okay.
Now, I tell you, like everybody else, if you don't want to answer the question,
Okay.
just skip over, okay?
Okay.
But some of these questions I feel like people been wanting to know.
Okay.
So, one, we're gonna start off. We're gonna ease into it, all
Okay.
right?
I
How do
need
you
some coffee.
handle guests that have too much to drink? You have a story for this, or a past experience?
Like I'm on the other side?
No. Like past experience
Yeah,
working at the bar or whatever. If it's Jason, we know he's slamming them. So what's
Yeah.
yours?
Okay. Well, I feel like, okay, this is hard because when I worked in the bar, like in a bar, I shouldn't say I love to cut people off. It's never fun for anyone, but
Now you like to cut people off.
You have some authority behind that bar.
Yeah.
In a when you're in we were working in a college bar.
Yeah.
So people aren't always the nicest to you.
Yeah.
And, they might yell at you. They might call you some names or cuss you out or whatever. So I feel like in that space, I was always very collected.
Yeah.
But it was almost in my head like, well, I'm going to show you. You want to treat me like that? Like, I don't have to serve you.
Yeah.
So I would just cut people off. But it was always nice because it's different in the bar when we worked in the bar. Because
you can call somebody, hey, this guy over here, get his ass out of there.
Yeah, we had bar staff. We
Yeah.
had managers. We had 3 bartenders next to us.
Yeah.
So it's like power in people. But now that we're in
A small setting.
confined space where it's just myself, Ahmad, someone from our team members, it's like,
Well, they know not to mess with me.
yeah, but it's,
I'm joking. Go ahead.
but it's like, well, I've had to do it
know.
before when you haven't been there. And sometimes people don't take you very seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're also, again, at somebody's most special celebration. I don't want to have to cut you off, but safety is important. And I'm liable for almost your care.
Yeah.
So how I do it, I feel like I'm almost passive, but assertive at the same time.
You give them water.
Yeah, I'm like, can I get you a water instead? And then hopefully they'll get the hint. But I have had one instance where they didn't get the hint. And so I had to continue to remind them.
Yeah.
And then the venue owner actually had to step in eventually and say, I will make you leave this venue if you don't stop pestering her.
Right. Well, I thought I was going to have to cut somebody off last wedding.
Yeah.
It didn't get crazy, nothing at all, but people are feeling good. He was all in a suit. Next thing you know, he came off without a suit jacket, came back again, had his tie off. And last time it came, he had like 2 buttons undone. I was like, oh yeah, it's getting to that hour.
Yeah.
Getting to the hour. But we didn't have to do it. Okay, so next question. In your opinion, what's better, cash bar or open bar? Or let's start off with this. Tell the difference of a cash bar or open bar
Okay.
before you answer the question.
So an open bar for our events is, you know, their guests at their event don't have to pay for drinks.
Yeah.
I think that is great for brides and grooms, clientele, whatever your event is that can afford that. I think
Yeah.
it's good to have an open bar. I do think there's pros and cons to both. I think one of the cons to an open bar is we are probably going to have to cut people off more often with
Yeah.
an open bar because, you know, you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And so I think people do often overconsume in those situations. And then a cash bar is where our client hires us to come and sell just beer and wine.
Yeah.
And their guests at their event have to pay for it. I think that's a good option for, you know, if you still want our mobile bar and
Yeah.
you want that special extra touch, but you're like, I can't afford to spend all this money on an open bar. So I don't necessarily think one is better than the other. I will say the cash bar is most cost effective. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for a more budget friendly option, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with having a cash bar, especially if alcohol, you know, isn't maybe the couple's thing or
Yeah.
they're concerned with overconsumption. Go
Yeah.
cash bar route. I don't know. What do you think?
For me, I think if I was, that's a loaded question, because from an outside standpoint, it can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are a wedding couple or you're the person that's hosting the event, obviously there's 2 things. For one, you got to see what type of event you're doing.
Yeah.
If it's someone who, for us as a couple, say we don't drink as much,
Right.
so we're not going to provide liquor
Yeah.
because we're not drinking, so we're just going to be throwing away money.
Yeah.
However, I do think I don't know, that's so hard.
I feel like for us though, I think an open bar is almost easier for us
Yeah.
because
You don't got to worry about swiping the card.
yeah, you don't
paying.
have to worry about payments, and also you kind of can. It's kind of easier to guesstimate
Yeah.
what people are going to drink for
Right.
an open bar, whereas a cash bar,
don't
sometimes
know.
financial, you know, people don't want to spend the money, and
Yeah.
you're like, well, I don't know if their guests are going to want to buy a drink.
Right.
I don't know if they will. So
Or having the right drink.
yeah,
or,
yeah.
whatever.
So I think
Or
for
having
us,
the right wine.
yes, yeah, that's been a big one
Yeah.
because wine people are wine people,
Yeah.
and
They like
that's
coffee
great.
people.
Yeah,
They like
And-
what they like.
yeah,
That's
and
it.
that's fantastic. But there's just so many wines.
Yeah. Right.
Like you might not have the right Cabernet.
Right.
It might not be the exact. It's just
Yeah, of course. What's your thought of other people getting into this space?
Like mobile bar or
Yes.
wedding industry.
Mobile bar.
Okay. I think it's great. I think there's so many events and so much room for other people to thrive here. I think the biggest kind of thing I always want to tell people is be ready to spend some time. I feel like if you want one category from this podcast today, time management, time consuming,
Yeah.
but in a best way. I mean, what job that you love isn't,
Yeah.
I guess, or you're passionate about a hobby, it's always going to be time
Yeah.
consuming. But I say go for it.
Yeah.
Definitely something that I think is important for people to do is definitely like make connections with your city, make
Yeah.
connections with the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. Make sure you
Client relation.
understand what you're getting into
Yeah.
because alcohol is a funny topic. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, and it should be, it's a regulated topic. And so for people getting into it, just make sure you're knowledgeable, you're educated on
Yeah.
what's going on, and be ready to spend time, but know that it's worth it. It's
Yeah.
rewarding, and if you love what you do,
Yeah.
and if you love bartending,
Yeah.
which that's another thing, have some bartending experience for sure. I think that's sometimes something, and
Yeah.
maybe that is a hot take, kind of. Sometimes I see people that are interested in getting into it
You have never done
and
it
haven't
before.
bartended before.
Yeah.
And bartending isn't
It's not hard,
exactly, but you
but
need
also
to
be in it for the right reason. Don't get into it thinking you're going to make a ton of cash, because realistically, you're not. I mean, if you do it right, you have,
Yeah,
you
we're always learning.
yeah, you're always learning. But my only hot take is, if you're going to do it, make sure you're following the right laws, make it right for everybody, but also do it for a good cause. Do it because you like doing it, and not just because
Yeah.
you see somebody else doing it and you're just trying to make some quick cash.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I agree with you.
okay, another question. I think everybody wants to know this. What is it like running a business as a couple?
I knew that one was coming. I struggle with that answer because it's great,
Yeah.
but also it's not, because it's like you want to have balance. And I think that's something we're always trying to figure out, because it's like, oh, let's go on vacation. Let's go on a date night. Next thing you know, we're spending 30 minutes talking about an upcoming event or some specific drink we want to make. And it's like, wait, we have a life outside of this. And so I don't think it's easy. I don't think it's easy. I think it's challenging, but in a good way. And you're going to butt heads because things that you maybe don't say to your coworker, your boss, you're probably going to say, at least if you're me or you, we say it to one another. And so just kind of censoring that too, like trying to treat it like, okay, this is our job from 9 to 5. This is when we can talk about it. And then after that, we just need to stop. And that's not always how it works, because I'm a night owl. And there's things that have to be done. But yeah, what do you think?
I like it a lot. I think the main reason why I like doing it together is because, for one, like I keep going back to this. We love bartending, for one. I think we're both very business minded, but I like spending time with you too. So I mean, I think that's also fun, but I think it was challenging in the beginning. Because I would say, this is not throwing shade. This is not throwing shade.
Okay,
but
throw it.
sometimes, what's the right word? I would say you're tough. You're hard at making decisions. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it now. We'll figure out that shit later. And that's how I work. So I think
that's how our business started.
Exactly.
Ahmad just bought the trailer.
I just
He's like,
in.
we're going to Ohio. We're going to pick up this trailer after we had talked about it. And I'm sorry to cut you off.
We probably talked about it for a year.
Or two. And he's like, we're doing it. And I'm still like,
I'm texting your work like, so what do you think about this trailer? We're doing it now. And like, okay.
And I'm probably saying no. We're like, well, what about the tires? Oh, well, will it make it? Oh, what about the rust?
It's always something.
There's always a very specific detail that I feel like catches my eye and tries to like divert me from the passion. So that's a good positive of you two, is like, he's going to make it happen. And I almost provide too much logic. Would you say that's kind of what you're...
I think so. I think so. Because I think after it's done, you're like, you did a good job. and that's what we got to get better at too, is, we're just on to the next thing. We just got to say, hey, you did good. And sometimes I catch myself saying, hey, Grace, good job. Nice. I hate you one of those. But yeah, I truly do like it. And I think we have a good time. And another thing too is, we're two likable people, and a lot of people that come to us, we make people feel welcome. And that's what it's really about. But let's jump back into some tips for couples. What is some advice that you can give couples when they're searching for bartenders?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me this, because I was thinking about this earlier. Like, I really have some things that I want to share. But the first thing is just knowing that the bar, that vendor at any event, specifically a wedding, is going to be one of the most interacted with vendors that your guests interact with. So ensuring that that person is fun, likable, energetic, but also professional, going to maintain safety and take their job seriously is really important. You don't want to just hire someone because they say, oh, I can get my bartending license tonight or tomorrow. Like, people need to make sure that their bartenders are going to take their job seriously and be likable, because just about every one of your guests is going to interact with them.
Another question for you. What is a question you think couples should ask, or anybody looking for a bartender? What is a question you think they should ask during their consultation?
I think one of the most important things is, are your bartenders licensed and trained on on, you know, with the Alcohol and
Yeah.
Tobacco Commission and others, serve safe trainings and etc. I think another question would be, do you have liquor liability insurance? Because with the Booze Buggy, we do. We pay premium to
Yeah.
ensure that shall anything happen, things are taken care of. So I think, one, are your bartenders licensed and trained?
Yeah.
Two, do you have liquor liability insurance? And then I mean, besides asking questions specific to their event, I think those are two of the most important questions.
No, nice. Okay, so we're just going to close it out then.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, but I did think of another tip.
Okay, what's another tip?
Just kind of going back, it just kind of popped in my mind. But I think another tip when clients are planning their bar, whether they go with us, go with someone else, whether, you know, you're just having an event at your house and you're like, how do I navigate this bar situation? I think less is more.
Yeah.
I'm starting to come to that conclusion
Yeah.
that your menu doesn't have to be extravagant, especially if you're doing an open bar. I mean, you're covering your guests' drinks. You don't feel like you have to go above and beyond. Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
Doing a couple of signature drinks, I always suggest don't include, you know, don't have two signature drinks that are the same liquor base. Don't do I don't know, a vodka soda and then a Moscow Mule. Those both have vodka. You know, not everybody likes light liquor.
Right.
I always, you know, try to aim towards, let's do something with bourbon, and then we can go over here to the rum, vodka, etc. But I think once you do those two signature cocktails, having a few beer options, a lighter beer and a darker beer, or an IPA and a domestic, and a white and a red wine, I think that's the perfect menu, honestly. And you know, for the clients that want more, that's fine. We accommodate that too. But I think because we're dry hire in that open bar sense, it can become overwhelming for the clients. Because all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I have
Gotta
to
get X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be that, because we're finding too that typically guests at an event, they want the signature cocktails because it's, you know, associated with their name or their dog, or it's fun, it's different. And so, yeah, I think that's
I guess another tip. Here's another tip for me.
Okay.
That we just figured out. Not really figured out, but if you want beer, go the keg route.
Oh yeah. 1,010%.
You only got to pick up one thing instead of several things.
I agree with that. And I think, draft beer is always better. And I think it's cool because our little space of our mobile bar has a jockey box in it. Which is basically a tap system. We can accommodate up to 3 tap lines, and your guests aren't expecting that. So I think it adds to the experience. They're like, what? You have beer on draft in there? And we're like, yeah, we do. Well, is it cold? Yeah, it's ice cold. Here, try one. And so I kind of agree with you more. Kegs, and it adds to the experience.
Perfect. Well, that has been another episode of Unveiled. But before I go, I want to give a full disclaimer. These are all the questions. And Grace, you did not get any of these questions. So these are all raw, straight to the point. I do want to say thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I knew you was going to come on, but I had to get her going, had to get her in the mood to do it. But I mean, that's another one of a million ideas I have on a weekly basis. So, but before I go, where can these people find you?
If you're interested in exploring the Booze Buggy mobile bar services, check us out on boozebuggymobilebar.com. We also have Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and we can be found at Booze Buggy Mobile Bar.
Now, that has been an episode of Unveiled. Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode.